Welcome to this short video. I am Mary Muter, the chair of Georgian Bay Great Lakes Foundation, and I want to introduce to you Bill Valkowski, a fellow board member who has been working with us on water levels now for over 20 years. Bill had a professional career as a consultant and worked on water levels and flows in industrial uses for decades, but for the past 20 years has been helping us figure out what's happening with water levels and flows in the Great Lakes. In this video, Bill is going to describe to you his recent work doing an analysis of the discharges from Lake Superior that were carried out under the International Joint Commission's International Lake Superior Board of Control. Let me introduce Bill to you now.
Oh, thank you, Mary. The International Joint Commission, we know it as the IJC, has required Lake Superior outflow to balance Lake Michigan and Huron, Michigan MH for short, water levels since 1978. What this means is more flow from Superior lowers Lake Superior, but it also raises Lake Michigan-Huron. And this is applied to plans 1977, then 1977A, and then the most recent plan, 2012. Balancing aims to keep the deviation of each lake level the same distance from its long-term average. It's actually measured in standard deviations. However, neither the IJC nor the International Lake Superior Board of Control, who actually administers the plan, have ever provided any evidence to show how well the levels were actually balanced. So let's take a look at level deviations and also how much bigger the Lake Michigan-Huron deviation is compared to that for Superior. So we're going to look at a graph, and you're going to see three lines appear: a green one, the Superior deviation, a red one, the Lake Michigan-Huron deviation, and finally the index, which is actually the difference between Michigan-Huron and Superior. So let's take a look. Here comes Superior. And as you can see, up until 1989, we had that period of extremely high water levels. And with a big peak is, you can see, I've labeled it as that was the 1986 high water levels. And at that point, more water was released from Lake Superior because Lake Superior is extremely high. That followed again in 1997. And then finally, towards the end of the graph in 2015 starts the action of Plan 2012. And again, there is a period of releasing more water because Lake Superior is very high. The high water stopped in 2021. So now we're putting up the next graph, which is the deviation of Lake Michigan-Huron. And you can see the deviation of Lake Huron actually exceeds the high points of the deviation of Lake Superior. And just to emphasize that, so here is the difference between the deviation of Lake Michigan-Huron and Superior. And as you can see, the deviation, the index difference between Michigan-Huron and Superior was made bigger in 1986, made bigger in 1998, and made much bigger in 2021. So just to look now just at the deviation, I just want to focus on a few other things. I've drawn two arbitrary lines, a line at plus 0.5 standard deviations and at minus 0.5 standard deviations. And would just like to put forward the idea that, listen, if we can be inside that line, inside that band, we can call it maybe okay, not too bad. However, once we deviate outside the line, the plus or minus 0.5, that really, really is an unacceptable deviation. I arbitrarily have called it bad. And in particular, to focus on Plan 2012, which actually was implemented in 2015, you can see that what has happened is we've gone from a relatively good beginning to a terrible end at the end of 2021, when the deviation was well over 1 standard deviation for Plan 2012. In conclusion, on average, since 1975, Lake Michigan-Huron deviation is 0.2 standard deviations bigger than that of Superior. Hence, all the plans from 1977 to 2012 have actually favored Lake Superior. The earlier period, Plan 1977, faced very high water levels, in fact, the record high, and did a very poor job of balancing. Later, Plan 1977A experienced both high and extremely low water levels, and you can argue that it did an okay job, a fair job of balancing. Plan 2012 experienced extremely high water supplies and allowed the Michigan-Huron deviation to grow a whole standard deviation bigger than that of Superior by releasing more water before the levels started to drop in 2021. Thank you.